Hello everyone, in this video we will be talking about division, but importantly we'll be talking about reasoning within division. Okay, so reasoning it still requires us to divide, but it does demand that we're thinking a bit more carefully about our answers. Okay, but we'll get to there in a minute. Before we get to the reasoning problems, let's just practice using the bus stop method for these basic division questions. Okay, so on the screen we've got 342 divided by 3. How do we solve this using a written method? So we've got the bus stop method, right? So the way the bus stop method works is we draw something that looks like a bus stop. Underneath the bus stop, we're going to put the number that we're dividing. So 342. And on the outside of the bus stop, we're going to put the number that it's being divided by. So 3. All right, once we've done that, remember, it's important to get those the right way around, okay? Otherwise, we're going to confuse ourselves. So, once we've done that, we then ask ourselves how many times this number goes into each of these numbers, okay? So, how many times does 3 go into 3? Of course, it's just the once, okay? 3 times 1 is 3, okay? So, 3 goes into 3 once. How many times does 3 go into 4? 3 goes into 4 once, doesn't it? Okay, because if we do the 3 times table, we've got 3, 6. 6 is larger than 4, so 3 can only fit into 4 once. Okay, but it fits into 4 once, but we've got that one remainder, haven't we? Okay, because 3 times 1 is 3, and 1 more would be 4, so we've got a 1 remainder. That remainder must go in front of the next number. So this 2 now becomes a 12, and it must be treated like a 12. Okay, it must be treated as one number, the number 12. So how many times does 3 go into 12? 3 goes into 12 4 times. 3, 6, 9, 12. 4 times, no remainders. Okay. Now, if you're doing a question like this and you have a calculator nearby nearby, make sure you check your answers to see that you're doing it correctly. So I'm going to ask this, and if I've got it correct, then I know I've done it properly. If I haven't, then I'm going to look at where I've gone wrong. Okay, so Alexa, what is 342 divided by 3?
342 divided by 3 is 114.
I've got it correct, so I know that the method that I'm using, I'm confident using it. Okay, if you go through the questions on the worksheet in the description of this video and you check your answers and they're not correct, give them another go. Okay, we need to know how to divide. All right, so let's look at the next question. We've got 201 divided by 5. Watch this one carefully. Okay, so bus stop. Inside the bus stop, 201. On the outside of the bus stop, we've got the number 5. Okay, watch carefully here. Now, 5 doesn't go into 2. 5 is bigger than 2. How can we fit 5 into 2 at all? 2 is smaller. It doesn't fit. So what we need to do is we need to show that it goes in 0 times. 5 goes in 0 times, but we've still got 2 remaining. We've got the 2 that we haven't dealt with. Okay, so let's bring 2 over to the next number. That's what we do with our remainders, remember? If we have remainders, we bring them over to the next number. So how many times does 5 go into 20? 5, 10, 15, 20. It goes 4 times. How many times does 5 go into 1? 0. 1 is smaller than 5. 5 can't fit into 1, so it goes in 0 times. And we've still got that 1 remainder, but we've got no numbers to put it in front of. So we can just say remainder 1. Now, what we could do, and what we will do in a different video, is we'll talk about, well, actually, rather than write remainder 1, can we express our answer using decimals? And we can do that, but I don't want to conflate and mix things up in this video. I want us to be confident with just this division and the reasoning in a minute, rather than throw lots of things at you. So for now, let's agree that we're just going to express our remainders like this. The answer is 40, remainder 1. Okay. Right. Can you give this one a go? Can you pause the video, give it a go, then play the video when you think you've got your answer? Okay, let's give it a go. So 732. And on this side, I've got 4. All right, how many times is 4 go into 7? Once. 4 times 1 is 4. And then we've got 5, 6, 7. 3 left, 3 remaining. 3 remaining, which goes in front of the next number. So that becomes 33. 4 into 33, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. 8. It goes in 8 times, but we landed on 32. We wanted to get to 33, so there's 1 left, there's 1 remaining, which we're going to put in front of the next number. 4 into 12, 4, 8, 12, 3. Alexa, what is 732 divided by 4?
732 divided by 4 is 183.
Okay, so if you've got that, perfect. Well done. You know how to divide using the bus stop method. In coming videos that are coming soon, we're going to look at division with 2-digit numbers, long division, and we're going to look at how we get our remainders. Like, remember the last question, it had a remainder at the end. How do we change that into a decimal? But for now, we're just focusing on this type of division. But let's now talk about reasoning. Reasoning is essential to exam success, okay? We must be able to reason, and we must be able to work stuff out in order to be very, very confident in all areas of maths, okay? So let's look at some reasoning problems. All right. A factory is packing jars into boxes. It has 2,400 jars and can fit 5 jars into each box. The factory has 350 boxes. Will the factory be able to package all the jars? If yes, how many boxes will be left over? If no, how many boxes are needed? So what is the reasoning involved here? Well, you're being asked, will the factory be able to package all the jars? So you've got to reason here. You've got to say, well, I think they will because, or I don't think they will because. And in order to prove you know the answer, you have to answer one of these questions. If you think the answer is yes, you need to say how many boxes will be left over. If you think the answer is no, you need to say how many boxes will be needed. So let's think about this question, all right? First, the first thing I need to say to you is if ever you read a word problem like this and you get to the end and you have no idea what you've been asked, that's a problem. That means we haven't comprehended the question. That means we need to read the question again, okay? Don't try to do any maths just based on the numbers you can see. Sometimes the words, and most of the time the words are really important, okay? So it says a factory is packing jars into boxes. It has 2,400 jars. I'm going to write that number down because I feel it might be important. So 2,400 jars. And can fit 5 jars into each box. I'm going to write that number down. Okay. Will the factory be able to package all the jars? All right. So I'm not going to bother reading this bit just yet because at the moment I just want to figure out whether this factory can package all the jars. And I need to think, well, how do I know the answer to this? How can I answer it? And the clue's in the question. The clue is the question is saying there's 2,400 jars. There, we can fit 5 jars into each box, and we have 350 boxes. So how do I use all of those numbers to work out the answer? Well, what I need to do is I need to get my number of jars, which is 2,400, and divide it by 5. Because think about it, I am dividing it by 5. I'm grouping these jars into 5. Aren't I? I'm putting 5 in a box, 5 in another box, 5 in another box, and I need to know how many groups I've got, how many boxes I've got. Okay, so let's first divide 2,400 by 5. So 5 into 2 doesn't go. We've got a 2 remainder. 2 goes in front of the next number, so that becomes 24. 5 into 24 goes 4 times. We've got a 4 remainder in front of the next number. 5 into 40 goes 8 times. And 5 into 0 goes 0 times. So I've got the answer 480, but now I've got to think, well, what does 480 mean? What is 480 in the context of this question? And of course, 480 is how many boxes we need. We need 480 boxes because we've divided 2,400 jars into 5 jars, piles, okay? So there are now 480 piles, if you like, of jars. They all need a box. So we need 480 boxes. But we've only got 350. So the answer is no. The factory cannot package all the jars We need 480 boxes. We've only got 350 boxes. So we need another 130 boxes, because 130 is the difference between 350 and 480. Okay. All right. So the trick with these questions, it sounds obvious, but it's reading it carefully, making sure you understand what you're being asked. There are so many times, so many occasions in maths exams where you can see a student's answer. It's wrong, but you can see why they've put that answer, because you can see where the misunderstanding is. And that's what these questions are kind of designed to do. They're kind of designed to challenge you and to see whether or not you trip over some of the traps within the question. Okay, let's look at one more reasoning question, and then in the description of this video, you've got some more reasoning questions to answer, as well as just basic division questions as well. Okay, there are 416 students in a school. Every student is asked to form a group of 6. How many groups of 6 will there be? How many more students are needed to make sure every student is in a group of 6? It's very wordy, but at the moment, I think I've comprehended that question. I think what it's telling me is that there's a certain amount of students. They need to be divided into groups of 6. How many groups do I have? Okay, now that's the first question. How many groups of 6 will there be? Let's ignore this question underneath. We don't need to answer them both at the same time. So how many groups of 6 will there be? All right, well, 416 students are being divided into groups of 6, aren't they? They're being shared into groups of 6. Okay, so 6 into 4 doesn't go. That 4 goes in front of the next number, so it just becomes 41. 6 into 41, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. We've got to stop there, otherwise we're going to go above 41. So it goes in 6 times, but we landed on 36. So I've got a 5 remainder because I needed 41. That 5 remainder goes in front of the next number. So we've got 56. Now we do 6 into 56. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54. It goes in 9 times. I have to stop at 54. I've got 2 remaining. I've got 2 remaining. Now, the 2 that I have remaining are going to be very important to one of these questions, but let's just appreciate these questions once more, okay? So how many groups of 6 will there be? There will be 69 groups of 6, because 416 divided by 6 is 69. Now we have that remainder. We have a remainder of 2. The next question says, how many more students are needed to make sure every student is in a group of 6? Well, these 2 students here are not in a group of 6. They're left out. We've got all these groups of 6s, and then there's 2 students left that don't have a group. So we need some more students to make sure those 2 have a group. How many more students do we need? We need 4 more students, because then we'll have another group of 6. So the answer here is 4. Okay, not easy questions. These questions are not that tricky, not that easy. They're quite tricky, they're quite challenging, but you will give yourself every chance if you make sure you read it carefully. And most importantly, make sure you understand the question. You should get to the end of the question, and in your head, it should be clear what you need to do. If it isn't, you need to read it again. But don't waste time reading the question. Try to read it carefully and properly the first time, okay? Sometimes, even adults, as they're reading books, reading text of any type, we might have a bit of a daydream, and we might miss a bit of writing and it doesn't make sense to us. That can happen to any human. But if that happens, make sure you read it again, because you need to understand the question or you won't be able to answer it. Thank you for watching. Do the worksheet that's in the video. Bye-bye.